Hi, this is Chris from needlepointers.com, and today I'd like to give you a little tour around my backyard garden. We have a little bit more than a half acre here, or right around a half an acre of property, and we get a lot of fruits and vegetables from our garden. And we have 3 beehives, as you can see. We recently did a video on how we installed a new package of bees into the middle hive there, and that's why that one's shorter. And recently my husband and daughter split that hive into another hive, this new little hive, and they just installed a queen in that hive this week, so hopefully that one will start having some activity very shortly, and we will get some honey from that one also. So those are the beehives, and this part is my main garden. In this first bed is strawberries. Now, I've been gardening for 30 years, and I still consider it an experiment every year. I learn new things each year, and I hopefully can take those and use them in future years to help me, get more crops and everything. So as you can see, around my strawberries, I have this fence. This is basically a pet fence that you can buy at the pet store, and it's metal, and I've used it for quite a few years now, so it's a little bit rusted. And the reason that I have the fence around is, if you look closely at some of the strawberry plants, they just have these ends that stick up like that. Well, that used to be leaves, and something is eating all of the leaves off the strawberries. There you can see a bunch of them on that one. So I found that this fencing actually helps, because I think it's a critter that is close to the ground, and they can't get over this fencing, which is only a few feet high, or maybe it's like 2 foot, I guess, and that seems to help them to not eat the leaves anymore. So now the strawberries are starting to grow back and get some more leaves. Unfortunately, I don't know if we'll get many strawberries this year. This next bed, the only things I have right in here right now are watermelon, this watermelon plant, and he will get really big and spread out around the whole thing. And I have these 2 cucumber plants also, and they have this trellis that they can climb up, which helps keep them off the ground, but they're going to spread out all over in this bed also. This bed has a bunch of different tomato plants and a few different varieties of pepper plants. So this is a pepper. All on this end are different pepper plants, and I use these. I love these V stakes to help stake my plants and give them support. They don't need it as much right now because they're not big and huge, but they will probably in about a month or so. As you can see, there's a couple of tomatoes there, and they are using the stakes some, and more tomatoes. And then this is a tomatillo plant, and tomatillos are used in Mexican cooking, and they're green. They're similar to a tomato in shape, but they're small, and they have a husk around them, and they stay green. This is another bed that is all tomatoes, and I usually plant Roma varieties. I plant cherry. I plant 4th of July, which are the early, like an early girl variety, and that variety is smaller, but they're great for all kinds of uses, and they come first. Back here I have a bunch of onions, and there's some red onions and white and yellow onions. This bed has in it zucchini and yellow squash, and the plants are very small right now, and the cover is on there to protect from the borer plant, the borer beetle. To protect from this bug, I cover my zucchini and yellow squash plants until around July 1st with this kind of netting that they can't get through, and this keeps them from coming to my garden and protects the plants so that they don't die from the wilting. And these are my blueberry bushes, and they are just covered with blueberries. Every year I get a great blueberry harvest because I thank the bees, because they seem to pollinate every single flower on the bush. They do that for the whole garden. So having bees by your house, at your house or right nearby, can be very helpful for your garden and allow you to get great yields from the garden. And there you can see some bees. For some reason they're not using their regular entrance. They're using this entrance that they made up higher in their hive, and they're coming and going and very busy today. So over here I have black raspberries, and you can see there's some growing on the plant. They haven't ripened yet. In this bed I have asparagus, and you can see like one big one sticking up, a couple of them sticking up there. And on the other side over here is garlic. And the garlic I put in the fall, and then it starts coming up very early in the spring, and it's pretty much finished by sometime in June to July. When the tops die down, then we're ready to harvest. In the back corner of our property we have this wild wineberry bushes that grow on their own. They started coming up here, and I let them grow to see what they were, and they ended up being wineberries. And these make great jam, and you can find wineberries, growing in the wild a lot, and pick them. They're not ripe yet, they're just starting, so you can't really see the berry. You just have that fuzzy little pod that is starting. If you're interested in foraging for wineberries, click the link in the description of the video or in the iCard, and there'll be a link to Annette's previous video on how to forage and for wineberries. This area over here is right next to our deck and by the back door of the house, and this is my herb garden. I found that I wanted to have my herbs closer to the house so that when I need one while cooking, I can quickly run outside and come and get it. So under the cage is some basil that I put in yesterday and some rosemary plants. This spiky plant here in the front is chives. That comes up every year by itself. And that little low plant is thyme. And the flowering one there is lavender. And the one next to it flowering also is sage. In front of that I have some parsley plants, and these are under the covers also because I know that we have little bunnies that live probably under our deck, or they live in our yard area, and they love parsley. So I've put parsley plants out here before, and within a day or two they are chomped to the bottom and there's no plant left. So now I have these cloches that I got from Gardener Supply, and they help protect the plant so the bunnies can't eat the whole thing. I don't mind sharing with the bunnies, but it would be nice if they didn't just chomp the whole entire plant down. This big huge plant is oregano, and that comes back every year. And underneath that cloche is some dill. So I hope you enjoyed this tour of our garden. If you'd like to see more pictures of the garden, please click the iCard or the link in the description of the video. I'll also include a link to where to purchase these cages that I use to protect my blueberries from the birds. I hope you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to our channel for more videos. Mostly we do sewing, crafting, and crafting videos, but once in a while we also have some gardening videos because both my mom and myself love to garden and do so every year. Please share our projects on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. Happy gardening!